Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ian McNaughton. Thank you for joining me. We are discussing Rugby Sevens at Tokyo 2020. I'm recording this a little less than 90 minutes ahead of day 4 at Tokyo 2020, as we had day 3 yesterday with Fiji winning gold against New Zealand. It was an awesome day of rugby. So glad I got to be a part of it. Now we're getting ready for the women's tournament, which is going to be just as exciting. Plenty of competitive teams looking to win gold. And let's get into it. So let's talk about day 3. Congratulations to Fiji for going back to back. They won gold in Rio in 2016. Now they win gold in Tokyo this year. Congratulations as well to Jerry Tuwai, the captain of the Fijian team, the last remaining player from the 2016 team, the only remaining player to win gold here in Tokyo. It was a great story. It was an awesome few days of rugby. I'm glad to see Fiji won. They deserve it. They're one of the best teams in the world. Kudos as well to the All Black Sevens team. They tried their best. They had a really good tournament, a great tournament, some would say, up until the final game against Fiji. It just wasn't meant to be for New Zealand. It was meant to be for Fiji, and that's why they took home gold. The other big story coming from the Rugby Sevens tournament is Argentina. They took home bronze after beating Great Britain in the bronze medal match, after beating the Blitz Box in the quarterfinals match. Argentina are your bronze medalists. So, in case you've been living under a rock or you haven't heard, Fiji, gold medalist, New Zealand, silver medalist, Argentina, bronze medalist. What a week it was. Weekend, really, 3 days, and the week is just continuing. Uh, First, I have to say as well with Argentina, I wasn't expecting this. I thought they would be probably around like the 4th, 5th, or 6th place, game. I didn't think they would be competing for the bronze medal, but they did. They took home a bronze. It was so fascinating to see how they beat South Africa with team defense, with heart and courage. They just would not let the Springboks or the Blitz Box get by them. And that was the same thing against Great Britain. When it was getting down to the wire, when it was getting close, Argentina just wouldn't let go. They would hold on to their lead, and they did it with the 17-12 victory against Great Britain to win the bronze medal. Speaking of Great Britain, they finished 4th. They had a tough group with Fiji. They had a good run against the U.S., especially in the quarterfinal with the 26-point comeback that I mentioned in day 2. There is a debate, of course, about resources being put into the Great Britain Sevens team. Should there be more? Should there be less? I don't know what to say about Team Great Britain. You should probably listen to someone who's more well versed with the rugby in Great Britain or how the setup is. I'm not quite sure how the setup is there, but nevertheless, I thought 4th was still a promising finish, especially considering the comeback that they had and who they were going up against. But they're obviously going to be disappointed they lost to Argentina in the bronze medal. Finishing 5th was the Springboks, or the Blitz Box, I should say. They defeated the U.S. 28-7. It was, again, a disappointing result. Okay finish for the Blitz Box. They lost to Argentina in the quarterfinals when Argentina was down 6 men for most of the tournament, or most of the game. It even got down to 5 men at one point. Argentina just willed their way to victory, and that's why it's so disappointing for the Blitz Box. 5th place is not good enough for them, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that. I'm excited to see how they do when they come to Vancouver, assuming they come to Vancouver in about 6 to 8 weeks from now for the Canada Sevens tournament at BC Place. That's going to be really fascinating. That's going to be the next big tournament after this for Rugby Sevens. So it's also a disappointing result for the Americans, who they finished 6th after losing to the Blitz Box in their final game. They were 2-1 after the group. They had close games against Ireland and Kenya in the pool stage. One would think that they could finish higher, and that comeback loss against Great Britain is just it's heartbreaking and disappointing. It's a tough way to end your tournament. I'm kind of at a loss for words because there's not really, there isn't really a way to describe how the U.S. is really feeling because, they lose to the Blitz Box, who I think they lose to frequently, and by frequently, I think, South Africa has an 85% win percentage when they play the Americans. The comeback against Great Britain shouldn't have happened. A lot of unanswered questions. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here. So, with that being said, rounding out the quarterfinalists, Australia was 7th. No, okay performance from them. They had a tough group with New Zealand and Argentina. They lost both of those games. They made it as a third place team into the quarters. They lost to Fiji again in the quarters. Just not good enough. They just weren't on the same level as some of the other teams. And as a result, they finished 7th. They got a nice win over Canada at the end, but that's about it. Speaking of Canada, they finished 8th. They got into the quarters thanks to a loss by Ireland. They were a third place team. They lost to New Zealand in the quarterfinals because Canada was a bit too static on offense. They weren't really moving a whole lot. I don't know if weather or humidity had anything to do with it, but as a team, they just weren't prepared against the All Blacks Sevens, and that's why Canada finishes 8th. Finishing 9th, Kenya. Again, I think this is a team that's definitely on the rise. Kenya is going to be my team to watch as we head down the home stretch here. They had really good performances in kind of the training invitational matches that we saw in the sevens in the spring. They were better than, I think, 9th place at this tournament. Again, they had a heartbreaking loss to the U.S. in the pool stage. They lost to Ireland when they probably shouldn't have lost because they beat Ireland again in the 9th place game. They lost by 5 points to Ireland in the pool stage. Just for whatever reason, they just couldn't get it done at some points. And you know what? I'm happy to see Kenya do well. 9th probably they probably want more than 9th. 9th is a good start. They got, again, 2 events coming up here in the end of September with Vancouver and Edmonton. They're going to be really fun to watch. If there's a team that you're, wanting to know who should I be on the lookout for, who could be good in the next few weeks, watch out for the Kenya Sevens team. I am ecstatic with how they played parts of this tournament, not so ecstatic with how they played parts of this tournament, but they are on the right track. 10th place, of course, was Ireland. I don't know how. I mean, I think they thought they could have done more. I know that Ted Kennedy, Jordan Conroy probably were a bit slow to the punch. Conroy and Kennedy didn't really get going until about the later, stages matches when it got to the placing matches, and by then it's way too late. I think there's, again, Ireland is still very young. As a sevens team, they've only been playing for about 5 years now. They're still growing. They're still improving. 10th place, not great, but I think there's, again, still room to grow, still room to improve. Conroy and Kennedy is a really good 1-2 knockout punch. I'm not too concerned with Ireland. I'm willing to give them a bit of a pass for this past week. Finishing 11th was Japan, who they are really going to be disappointed in finishing 11th, considering it was their home sevens event. Their group was, I know it features the first place team, the 4th place team, and the 8th place team. They just weren't ready. And they were not prepared. They might have extorted a lot of energy in the Fiji loss because they were beating Fiji at halftime of the very first game of the sevens tournament, and they finished 11th. Again, they're not a great sevens team yet. They are still improving. They are still trying to get better and progress as well as they can. This tournament didn't really help the progression and improvement like I thought it would. Maybe because they didn't have fans, maybe because they just weren't prepared for their teams. Whatever the reason is, a disappointing result for Japan. I'm not willing to quit on them. I still think they can be a good sevens team. It just will take some time down the road to get better. And this might be, kind of the same result we see for a while, maybe 10th, 11th, 9th, 12th places that we see in the next few events by the end of the year. And then finally, Republic of Korea, they finished 12th in last place, did not win a single game. Their closest match, I believe, was against Japan at the very end when it was 31-19. That was their closest difference. They gave up at least 40 points or more in their pool stage. They had a extremely tough pool with the All Blacks, Argentina, and Australia. They weren't expected to do well. They didn't do well. They're a very young team as well. Like they're still growing as a sevens team. I'm not disappointed or upset with how, and I don't think they should be either. I think they can take away a lot from this tournament and take away a lot from playing in the Olympics, especially against that group. They know how good the All Black sevens and Argentina sevens is. I wouldn't be too upset if I was the Republic of Korea. Players I want to just give a quick shout out to because I thought some players had really good tournaments. Marcus Moneta from Argentina, I believe he finished with 6 or 7 tries as a 21-year-old. He was fantastic from beginning to end in this tournament. Part of the reason why Argentina got the bronze medal. He's definitely somebody who's going to be on my radar when he comes to Vancouver in a few weeks. I'm super excited to see him. Awesome performance. I mentioned Jerry Tuwai from Fiji. He was their captain. He was all over the place, making plays, tackles, passes. He got a few tries. He was very important to Fiji's success this tournament. I don't know that they win the gold without him. From Kenya, Collins Injiri. I got 2 guys from Kenya actually I want to mention. Collins Injiri. I thought he had a really fun tournament. He had a really good pool tournament. He fell off a little bit, I thought, near the end. But as I think he was number 11, I don't know if he got a whole lot of starting action. But when he was on there, on the field, he was making plays. He was helping Kenya win. Collins Injiri is the guy you should know. Also, Johnstone Olindi, he was fantastic as well. Same sort of speed, same sort of playmaking. It was tough to tackle in open field. I mean, it kind of is for anybody in sevens, but him especially, I thought teams had difficulty bringing him down. That again, I'm really, really big on Kenya coming up these next few weeks. And then finally, from South Africa, I should mention Ronald Brown, who I thought was a really good bench player for South Africa. He was making a bunch of kicks. I think he had 2 kicks in their final game against the U.S. for 4 points. He had a few tries as well. He was very important for South Africa and helped them did as well as they did. So that's the men's tournament on the Rugby Sevens. It was fantastic over these last 3 days. And I'm really excited to see when the tournament comes to Vancouver, what it's going to be like, who's going to be all involved. Should be fantastic. Should be awesome. Can't wait. A wonderful 3 days of rugby that will continue with the women's tournament, which will be happening later today. Again, maybe in about an hour from now as I record this. We have women's matches to watch for later today on Thursday. Canada-Brazil will be a fun women's Pool B match. The ROC, Russia versus Great Britain, that's going to be a fun Pool A match. And if you're looking for a really good start to the women's tournament, be sure to check it out with Fiji and France, another Pool B game. Pool B on the women's side is just awesome with France, Fiji, Canada, Brazil, loaded group. Anything can happen. Be sure to check that out later today. My medal contenders in the women's, I mean, Canada, the U.S., New Zealand, Australia, France, Canada, U.S., New Zealand, Australia. Those are the teams I'm really watching for medals. The ROC and Great Britain might surprise some people. Same with France and Fiji. But Canada, US, Australia, New Zealand, those are the 4 teams you should be watching on the women's side starting later today. And you can check out all the action online or wherever you get your rugby, wherever you're from. I'm in Canada, so I get to watch on a live stream on cbc.com. So be sure to follow myself on Twitter at Ian McNaughton. That's where I post all of my updates for every game and some screenshots, live coverage. You can check out myself there. If you like this video, be sure to hit like below. If you like this video and you like the other videos I posted, as well as the content that we're putting out on this channel, be sure to subscribe to this channel right below. Thank you very much for watching. Greatly appreciate all your support these last few days and in these upcoming 3 days. And we'll be back again soon. Peace out.